Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is maybe video 2 for you today. I just put out a quick talk, under 10 minutes, about the Forging Bonds events rerun and what I think that's going to kind of mean. So TLDR, if you didn't see that, you should go see that. But the shorthand version is I think they're going to be rerunning new hero banners as Forging Bond event reruns every odd month. So the one that's up for voting now, if you want that link, go check out the video I just put out earlier today. That'll have all the links and information that you need for that there. But essentially, I think what they're kind of moving towards is they're going to be putting new heroes into those events. They're going to put the double special hero summons every even month that we get. They're going to be using those two things to kind of bring back units that are not legendary and mythic, which applies directly to what we're talking about right now, which is the May Mythic Hero banner prediction thing. So you can see we've got May heroes right here. They are guaranteed to come back. We've got Ellawood, Leaf, Ephraim, Lucina, Julia. She's here. Hector is holding down green. That's it. And then Leaf and Alm. So blue is full. So if you were hoping for, I don't know, some Lance unit to come back or Brave Ellawood, that's not going to happen this time. We do have an open slot for red. We have an open slot for colorless. And then we've got 2 for green. I'm thinking that our mythic is actually going to be another green unit. I don't know. Surprising, huh? But I do have 1 for red, green, and colorless. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. So let's get into the banner predictions. And I think I can talk about this without spoiling anything. I'll give you an official spoiler warning once we get down to the Mythic Candidates section. Because that is going to be much more... There's going to be a lot that I talk about in terms of the Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn games, as well as kind of spoilers for things regarding Rhea in Three Houses. So there's a teaser for you, I guess. So banner predictions. Let's take a look at who we've got here. So for red, it's going to be, I think, either one of these two. Side note that it could also be Lysithea, and I'll talk about why that's a possibility in a minute. Avel has not been rerun. Larce has not been rerun. Avel, I think, has been skipped intentionally. I think she will be back on a skills banner in the near future, kind of like what they did with Sirius, for example. Larce is still kind of in that realm. Everybody from her banner got a rerun somehow, with the exception of her. But last month, red was completely full, so there was no chance for a red unit to get in there anyway. So I think that means we're going to be seeing Larce on this banner to accompany Ellawood and Leaf, which is good. She has crazy fodder, which ultimately makes pulling red relatively, like, there's no downside, essentially. Ellawood is solid. Leaf is insane, especially if you want some merges or just your first copy to help you with game modes where he would be useful. Not really a downside. So I think ultimately that means that we're going to be seeing Larce. But it could also be Avel, but just FYI, I think it's probably going to be Larce. So we will actually put her in front. Next up, we've got the green. We gotta skip blue because nobody's in blue. I think we're going to be looking at either Sed or Annette. Let me tell you why I think it could be Sed. Last month we had a green kind of banner thing where it was just a lot of greenness happening for the voting gauntlet, the battle, whatever. The voting gauntlet happened. There was lots of green things happening. Sed was on that banner, but Nagi was as well, and there was a little annotation saying that Nagi would show up in a Mythic banner earlier that month. And that's exactly what happened. So Nagi actually got on the Voting Gauntlet banner as well as the Mythic banner, or the Legendary banner, I guess at that time. So what does that mean? I think that means that the Voting Gauntlets don't really mean anything in that regard. They must not be accompanying the Mythic and Legendary monthly banners. So that means Ced is fair game. He has not had a rerun, much like Larce. Shannon, I think, was on a skills banner, I want to say, so I don't anticipate seeing him. But I think that means that we could see Ced. However, we are kind of breaking into these new territories. There was a banner before the Three Houses banner that had units like Ferdinand, Bernadetta, Lysithea, and of course Annette. And that was the one with Nils and Fiora and Layla and Raph. So why would Raph not be on here? Well, Raph is a 3 and 4 star, so he doesn't count. So I think that means we may have to jump ship a bit. The other thing that makes me kind of think that they are going to skip ahead past that banner and get right into having Annette on there. We did just have that Forging Bonds thing pop up, and I don't know. There's not really a strong reason as to why they would start with that particular banner. It took place in July of last year. So other than that, I don't really know how it's relevant. Other than maybe they're just trying to put more Three Houses units out because they know that's what people want. I don't know. But ultimately, I think that means that we're probably going to see Annette over Ced. That Ced could also pop back in again because I don't think that the devs are really thinking too much about the Voting Gauntlet banners counting towards their appearances happening in the monthly and Mythic Legendary banner type deals. So probably Annette over Ced if I had to take a guess. Colorless. Let's talk colorless because there's only one slot this time. Who is going to accompany the best colorless boys that we have in the legendary pool? Let me tell you. Ellie. Eleanor is probably coming back. Everybody from her initial banner has had a rerun. It started with Memori, and then we had Tsubasa. Kyria, as I predicted, is actually on the current skills banner that's going on right now. So that means she will not likely make a reappearance on a monthly banner. And that just leaves Ellie. We had something happen last month where there was a random colorless pop in. I think it was Silk, which there was no reason in any kind of pattern or anticipation why Silk would just pop in to accompany Lorem on the banner, and she did. So I think that's maybe because they were saving the slot for Ellie for this month so that they could space out the Tokyo Mirage Sessions characters. So I'm feeling very confident that we're going to see Ellie this time around in the final colorless slot to go along with Leaf and Alm. So that kind of brings me to the Mythic Candidates, and if you notice, I didn't really say that we would see both Ced and Annette to go with Hector, because there is a green slot that is open. I think we are going to be looking at a green Mythic this time around. I could shoot for the obvious, oh, it's maybe Thor, or oh, it could be Hell, or oh, well, it's that. No. I'm taking a hardline stance this time. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. That's fine. I stand to get some stuff wrong here pretty soon. I've been on a bit of a hot streak lately. But I feel like the signs are just kind of there, too obvious to ignore. So let's go over the things that I think have a possibility, but are not going to be on for the Mythic slot anyway. And again, I've got one for red, green, and colorless. So this is where we get into some Three Houses kind of Rhea spoilery type talk, but really nothing beyond her identity, who she is essentially as a person. So if you don't want to know that, this is your official spoiler warning. So first up, we have Rhea. And what color is Rhea representing? Well, red. That is because I think she has the possibility of becoming Saros rather than Rhea. I would have put a picture of Saros up, but I couldn't find one that was of decent quality. So we went with Rhea. They're essentially the same person. If you didn't know, now you do. And your whole experience has been ruined. I think honestly, if we're going to see a Saros Mythic, and she would definitely be a Mythic candidate, we'd be looking at a red unit because of the sword that she carries. So I think we'd have kind of like a Sword of Saros type unit that would represent her as a Mythic. So maybe Lady Rhea, probably not. More likely Saros with a sword in the red pool, if it's that. And the reason I bring that up, again, we're having some kind of weird Three Houses renaissance happening with this Forging Bonds event. And I had chosen this out last night before any of that had dropped. And this just kind of helps reinforce that thought in my head that maybe we're on the right path towards something. So if we don't see Larce, if we don't see Avel, if we don't see Lysithea, she is also a minor possibility. We could be seeing Saros pop in as a red Mythic hero. Next up, are you ready for some Tellius spoilers? Because we're doing a deep dive here. This is going to get real, okay? So Tellius spoilers incoming. You've officially been warned. Moving on. Do you know who this guy is? His name is Sifrin. Sephiran is a Heron. He is also known as Leiron. And Leiron is... Oh god, he had this thing called a medallion. And that'll be important in a moment. He was the husband of Altina, who both of them were some of the fighters that accompanied Ashera and locked Yune away in the medallion that Leiron owns. Leiron is, I think I said this already, a Heron of the Laguz. And, okay. Now that you know who everybody is, let's put all the pieces together, shall we? So, Leiron has a medallion. That medallion actually, in, I guess, the world of heroes, caused Ike to go berserk, which is why we have Fallen Ike now. Because he touched it, and touching the medallion is a no-no. So, earlier this month, we got Fallen Ike. That's kind of interesting, right? That just kind of came out of nowhere. It was on, like, my wishful thinking list, but it ended up being a real thing during that prediction. And we got Fallen Ike. That was a thing that happened. We also got Ashnard, who is kind of tied to Medallion as well. So all of this kind of lore started building early around this medallion earlier in the month. And lo and behold, we ended up getting a bride banner that was again primarily Tellius focused, when I genuinely don't know why that would happen, because the same thing kind of happened last year, and that was really weird. This time around, though, we got units like Micaiah, who, again, spoiler, is a branded. She is a type of Laguz. She's like a half Laguz type deal. And she is also part Heron. We also got Raphael, the last Heron that we didn't have in the game except for Sephiran. Or Leiron, whatever you want to call him. It's up to you. It doesn't make a difference. So that means that we kind of have this focus on the Heron clan, while also kind of earlier in the month having this focus on the medallion. And that seems too weird to ignore, which is why I'm throwing in a colorless bid for Leiron or Sephiran, whatever you want to call him. And he has a staff. He has a namesake staff. He also has a tome that he can use. That's another thing that could happen. But ultimately, I think he would be, genuinely speaking, a colorless option that we could see. I don't think it's going to be him. But all of that kind of leads into my genuine guess for the green, which is Ashera. And I have picked Ashera before. But again, all of this is kind of leading up to the whole deal where... you know, the medallion takes a big play Lairon was actually the one who convinced Ashera to lock Yune away in the medallion. We have a green slot open. Do you know who else is a green mythic? Yune, whatever you want to call her. I don't care. Ashera could be a green counterpart to Yune. That might be a thing that happens. We've had all of this lore building with the herons and the medallion this month. We even have Resplendent Soniki as well popping in here in a couple days. Well, it's already happened. It's just happened. So ultimately, I think the lore building in the background anyway is kind of making way for somebody like Ashera. So I think if I had to place a bet, I would stake this month's Mythic candidate being Ashera. It might be Tellius Overload. That is a possibility. But I think there's just way too much lore building going on to ignore it, in a sense. I don't know. We'll see. But that's kind of what I'm putting my money on at this point. Again, it could be anybody. Like, we could get a Nankos in here. We could get Gateau in here. There's a plethora of opportunity for anybody to kind of pop in. These Mythic candidates are a little bit harder to pin down than the Legendaries, just because they're a little bit more shrouded in both visibility and renown. So, again, could be anybody. Could be, it could be somebody from FEH, too. Could be Freyr. I don't know. But I would put money on Ashera. That's who I'm going with. In the comments, let me know who you think is going to be on this month's Mythic banner. Let me know your hopes and dreams and predictions and all that good stuff. And if you're right, you get bragging rights. And nobody can take that away from you. But again, if you missed the earlier video that I did for Forging Bonds, please go do check that out. It is like 9.5 minutes, I think. It's not too terribly long. I don't even think there's any mid-rolls on it, which is dope. For you guys, not for me. But for you guys, it is. But that's it for me right now. Thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe if you'd like to, because we do these kinds of videos every month, as well as more things as well. Just check out the channel. You'll see all kinds of things. We do live streams on the weekends. We do summoning videos. We do prediction videos. We do reaction videos. We do all kinds of stuff. So feel free to subscribe and come on back if you're into that. But that is it for me right now. Thank you guys so much for watching again. And until then, I will catch you next time.